that started McRoberts Sweets, they had this car specifically built for them, and it had a V12 engine. I can't tell you, it was about 1932 or something, and it had this carburettor about that size sitting in this massive expanse of cast iron, and that thing passed the 50-cent coin test from the factory. Like I said, before World War II, our engines were okay. After World War II, it's just game's over. They are just built to fill bank accounts. I wondered
how they run those tanks and that for so many miles with, with such, where did all the fuel go? They must have had good motors back then.
Absolutely. They had, like I said, Ford guaranteed that Ford V8 would get 30 miles to the gallon back in 1930, 1933. Why were they able to do that? Because they had a fair idea what the engine was, what it required. So it had
Can you fit one of these to the Hilux? Because that thing's terrible, mate. Well, I reckon it's $150 for 100 Ks.
Yeah, and here we are, 2022, and has the computer really worked in our engine bay? Has it improved our fuel mileage? No, not really. Not that much. Not for the amount of work that's gone into it. Not for the amount of engineering that's been poured into that engine.
Disastrous, the whole thing.
But it's a piston-based world, and we need to get our heads around what's needed in order for that to survive. Because the piston engine is a wonder in and of itself. We haven't even tapped into the true potential. Because one of the things we did find was our engines are way too big. We can reduce the size of the engine down quite dramatically to get the same amount of power. So we can still, the internal combustion 4-stroke engine can survive as long as we treat it properly. And when we do, it won't pollute, and it will just run effortlessly for many, many years. Although people that make lots of money out of them won't be happy with that. But that's the harsh reality.
So that car out there, what have you got? What can you say about the car out there?
Well, Ford Motor Company kept an eye on what we were doing in Airport West.
Right.
And when the EA Falcon...
Is that like Men in Black?
No, they were intrigued. Yeah. And they actually brought, in 1989, Ford changed the design of their passenger car fairly radically and developed another engine for it here in Australia. It was the EA Falcon. And they had some problems. They were blowing head gaskets. Pretty much the moment that engine was up on warranty, it would blow a head gasket. So Ford actually came to the factory. They brought a dual fuel car over, and we looked at it, and John said to me, grab a level for me out of your truck. And a couple of the Ford engineers were there. And I grabbed the level out of the back of my plumber's truck. And, the Ford engineers had explained, yeah, we've got problems with this engine. And John said, he put the level on the rocker cover and he said, there's your problem. Took him 2 seconds. These guys were just like, what are you talking about? And he said, well,
it's out of level.
No, the engine was dead level in the engine bay. And he said, what have you done? I'll take you back to the earlier model Falcon, the XF and the XD Falcon with the 6-cylinder in there. And he said, they were like that in the engine bay. They were high at the front. He said, why was that the case? Well, we don't know. Well, guys, it was so that if any steam had built up in the back of the engine, it was able to migrate its way out. But the moment you stood the back of the engine up, the steam was just gathering and building up and building up and building up. It couldn't get out, and eventually it found a way out. Because steam is very efficient. It will cut through anything. And we actually measured the temperature back there, and it was superheated, over 1,000 degrees. It was just cutting its way through the alloy, and it was making a shocking mess. So John just grabbed a drill, because we had a precursor to this car coming around. We had a cylinder head delivered to us, and we'd analysed the cylinder head. And he just grabbed a drill, and there's, next to where the exhaust manifold bolts up to the cylinder head, there's these little casting bumps. So we just drilled a hole straight into the back casting bump and tapped into the coolant passage, put a little fitting in there, ran a hose to the thermostat, one of the hoses off the thermostat. 9 kilowatts more power at the rear wheel. 9 kilowatts more power. There was a 17% increase in fuel economy on LPG and 27% increase in fuel economy on petrol.
So did they change the model after that?
No, they didn't really. No, they looked at us and they went, sorry, but that would cost Ford $20 for every single car, and that's too much.
But how much does it cost for one?